What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another episode of To the Show We Go Baseball Podcast. Today's episode, we have another Red Sox pitching prospect. Today, it's a member of the 2023 draft class, Matt Duffy. Matt spent 2024 in Salem and actually pitched pretty well, according to your box scores, too. So I'm definitely going to ask you a few questions about that, but kind of like to start things off on a lighter note and just on the pretty easy layup question for you. But you said you're down in the complex. How has your short off season been so far?
It's been good so far. Um, obviously, I'm down here in Florida. I got here like 2 weeks ago. I got here right after the hurricane, but right after the season, I made a little bit of a point to the Red Sox. I kind of wanted to take a break and kind of go home, and because we were going through a deload, I think most of the pitchers went through a deload. I wanted to spend it at home, kind of see my parents and stuff, because obviously being from Canada, it's not the easiest task to come across the border and watch games. My mom and brother came down once, but other than that, I didn't really get to see them. So I wanted to go home, make it a point seeing them. But I've been here for 2 weeks, and we're ramping up a little bit to then head into bullpens. So the ramp up's going well. But it's good to be down here in Florida, especially with some of the guys that I'm living with. So yeah, it's been good so far. No worries.
So you're from Ontario, right?
Yep, Burlington, Ontario, like 30 minutes from Toronto.
Is that where the airport is? Because I remember I used to work. I'd have to fly up to Toronto, and the airport there's one in the middle of the city, but then there's the other one that's 40 minutes out. Is that kind of around that, or is it the other side?
So there's one at the edge of Toronto, pretty much on the lake, and it's called Porter Airlines flies out of it. I don't know what the airport's called.
I think it's Billy Burns. I think that's Billy Burns.
Yeah,
I think that's the name of it.
Or Billy Bishop or
something alliterative. Yeah,
something along those lines. So I know that one's pretty much in the city, but then the main one, Toronto Pearson, which is the international airport, a pretty big airport. That one I think is in Mississauga, I want to say, which is a connecting city to Toronto. So it's
Gotcha.
It's pretty much there, but yeah, I'd say it's probably 10, 20 minutes out from actual downtown Toronto. So, but yeah.
Gotcha. So it's like the Cambridge. It's like what Cambridge is to Boston.
Yeah, pretty much.
Gotcha. So what was it like growing up there for you?
Obviously, baseball isn't the most popular sport you could say in Canada. Obviously, a lot of kids play hockey. Our national sport is lacrosse too, but I don't think many people play lacrosse all that much. But growing up being a baseball fan, obviously you have all the guys that play baseball in the area, but it's really not that popular of a sport. My dad got me into baseball at a very early age. I think I started playing in grade 1, so I was 5 or 6. Pretty much went through the city's teams and whatever, started playing travel ball when I got to the age of 13. Played through that circuit until I got to my senior year of high school, and then committed to Canisius University now in Buffalo. But yeah, baseball is really not all that big, so it was different trying to get into the groove of things, not being a hockey player and whatnot. I never played ice hockey in my life, so I feel like that makes me not as Canadian as some people may say. But yeah, it was different. But I don't know. I have no complaints now. I'm doing what I like. So
yeah, obviously it paid off. Now, are both your parents Canadian?
Yeah, both my parents are Canadian. My dad. Yeah, I was gonna say my dad's from Halifax, Nova Scotia, so he's out way east. But my mom's from around Toronto area.
Gotcha. I know in Halifax they get some of the radio they get there, at least they used to back in the 70s. Would be Red Sox games, Yankee games, Mets games, stuff like that, because that's the closest.
Yeah, I would assume so, just because it's so close. But I've never been out there, so I don't know all that much.
How did he become a baseball fan?
I think his dad got him into it. I never met his parents. But I believe he got into that through his dad, but then my dad actually played professional for 2 years. He got signed by, I believe he got signed by the A's, and they were
Oh wow.
They're the Kansas City A's at the time, so they weren't even in Oakland yet. He played 2 years, and then he got released because he got injured. And obviously, in like the 1960s, you don't have the same type of training staff and training sort of, uh, what would you say, ramifications, I guess.
Yeah.
So he couldn't really come back from his injury. So yeah, he played pro for 2 years. So that's kind of, I guess, the reason why he got me and my brother into it.
Was he a pitcher?
Yeah, he was a pitcher as well.
Gotcha. What is what do your folks do for work now?
My dad's been retired since I was born. He was a teacher before that, and my mom is a doctor, so she practices out of a city close by where I'm from in Burlington, but she also works out of Toronto. But yeah, since my dad's been retired for my whole life, like he's pretty much done any sort of sport activity with my brother and I since we were born. So I think that's kind of where I get my athletic gene from.
Now, were you an older brother or a younger brother?
I'm an older brother by 1 year. And my brother's actually at Canisius University where I went to school, and he's also a pitcher. So we've been kind of following in the same footsteps since we were born. We played all the same sports. Yeah.
We were talking about this a little bit. We had Max Carlson on a couple days ago, and he's a littler brother. And something that I've noticed, at least for for most players, is that the younger brother tends to be a little bit better than the big brother. Like the Martinez brothers. I guess Canseco was like they were twins, like Kyle Tucker to his older brother that no one's heard of. How is your brother compared to you? Are you the better of the two, or does he have that younger brother edge?
I mean, both of us have grown up and have played pretty much any sport that you can name. And I think both of us are natural athletes to the point where you can kind of throw us in any sport and we'll do well no matter what. So I think both of us are the same in that way. But I think I kind of have a bit of the baseball edge. I think I've just found a bit more success over like my college career, and then playing in different summer leagues and having success there as well. So I think I have a bit of the baseball edge, but my brother Aaron is like really good at, like, he's probably better at basketball than me. He's probably better at other sports, but I can't think of them off the top of my head. But yeah, both of us are good at I think any sport. So I mean, I don't want to compare us to, but yeah, I think we're just good at anything.
So moving a little bit back to what you were saying about pitching in college and everything, you were drafted pretty. I remember you were the first pitcher taken in the 2023 draft for the Red Sox. You were taken in the 4th round. Did that come as a surprise to you that you went, like, when you went? What was that day like for you?
It definitely was surprising. Talking with my agent through the draft process, I knew maybe the highest I'd go would be the 4th round, but I thought I'd go anywhere in day 2 from rounds 5 to 10. That's kind of what he was hearing and what some other people were hearing, especially my coach too. But yeah, I think the days leading up to that, my agent made the point that the Red Sox were really in on me. Because I had been talking with the area scout that was watching me, Ray Fagnant, and we had a really good relationship. He came to probably 5, 6, 7 of my games, and we were texting back and forth, so we had a good relationship. And I ended up actually going to the pre-draft combine at Fenway, and that was the only combine that I went to. So I knew the Red Sox I had the best connection with. So when it came to draft day or the days leading up, my agent found out that the Red Sox were keen on me taking me with the 4th round comp pick, and we had 2 of them. So I thought, oh, well, that's way better than 5 to 10. So I mean, like, that'd be awesome if that were to happen. So it came to draft day, and we started hearing noise about teams wanting to take me in like the 5th round. And like, even then, like, getting drafted in the first place is awesome, but obviously getting picked earlier and earlier is an even better feeling. But then it came to around, I think the third round, it was the start of the third round of the second day, and my agent called me. He said, I think the Red Sox are going to take you with the fourth round comp, or like they will take you with the fourth round comp. I said, well, wow, like that's awesome. And I don't think any other team was really in the mix in the fourth round. Like it was just the Red Sox. But then I think it was 5 picks before the 115, which was when I was chosen. And he said, yeah, you're going to the Red Sox with their fourth round pick. And I was like, I was speechless. Like I just started laughing because, well, a little backstory. I was in Florida at the time. My brother was working out at the Cressy Sports Performance Facility in Jupiter. And me and my parents flew down and was just kind of with him during the draft process because, I mean, we knew at that point I was probably going to get drafted. So we wanted to be with him too. So that's why I was laughing because like I called, I came back in the room and Aaron, his buddies, and then my parents are all sitting there. So I just couldn't stop smiling because I knew I was going to get picked in 5 picks. And then obviously it happened. But yeah, I didn't think I was going to be going in the fourth round. But I mean, obviously anything can happen on draft day. So that's just how it all played out.
So you were smiling, you were super excited. How did your family react to this?
Oh, I mean, I think all of us were just speechless. I mean, I know my mom and dad both cried. I mean, Aaron obviously did it. Aaron was probably, I think Aaron was recording, but yeah, it was a surreal moment because they know just how hard I've worked and all the things that I've been through to get to that point. So I think it was really cool and just obviously, like I said, surreal to like see them react the way that they did. It was just, I don't know, probably one of the best days of my life up to this point.
Well, I want to jump now to your first full professional season here in 2024 in Salem. Obviously, you got into 2 games last year in Salem, but this year, a full season, you appeared in 22 games. I had a pretty good season, but I am curious, just from your point of view, like how do you think your year went? What did you like? What were some of the takeaways?
I think I definitely had a very up and down year, but like down at the start, and then once I started like getting experience throwing to pro hitters, like I think it just went way up from there. I started off the year pretty slow. I think my first 8 or 9 starts, like I think I was doing all right. Like I think I had probably a 4 ERA. ERA is not the greatest stat to look at, but it's a good stat to view like if you're doing well or not in a way. But I'd say I had like a 4 ERA through probably 40 innings. So I was doing all right, but I didn't feel like I was doing that great. Like my velo was kind of sitting around like 90 to 92, which is similar to kind of what it was in college. And I don't know. I just felt so flat. Like I didn't feel like I was really progressing all that much. And something clicked. Either I knew my weight went up. Like I was 200 when I first got with the Red Sox. Now I'm 215, and I was 215 during the end portion of the season. Either my weight or I was moving better, and whatnot. But my velo skyrocketed. I was now sitting like 92 to 95, and my pitchers were moving better. And I think for my last 10 starts, I probably had like a 1 ERA. So it's just so flat and down at the front of the season, but then like I was just doing so well at the end that like I don't know. I feel like I ended on such a high note that it was a great way to end the season. And obviously my counting stats look pretty good on paper, and I feel like because of that, like I feel like I had a good season, and I know the way that I finished is a great way to lead into the offseason and then into the next season. So, I mean, as a whole season, especially as my first one, I think I did great.
For fans listening to this that aren't as familiar with your game, how would you describe yourself as a pitcher?
I'm definitely a strike thrower. I'm not going to light up the radar gun. Now I'm 92 to 95, but earlier in the season, obviously I was 90 to 92. But I've always had the ability to throw strikes and throw different pitches for strikes. So I think that's my calling card, just kind of creating imbalance with the hitters, kind of just throwing any pitch in any count. So I think that's been my calling card as a pitcher, being able to throw 3, now 4 different pitches for strikes. So I think just being able to manipulate hitters in a way is kind of just how I go about things on the mound.
And I've noticed one thing when I did go back and was kind of doing some like prep work and stuff, but I was looking at some of your numbers at even in college, and something did strike out to me, and it was a common theme even this year, is you don't like to walk a lot of guys, which is a great thing, obviously. How did you adjust this year? Obviously, your first full season in pro ball. Obviously, you've never had high walk numbers, and you're constantly trying to get the strikeout numbers up. I guess, how do you balance that once you get to pro ball? And like you said, you're trying to throw faster and everything. All things considered, they're probably throwing a ton of data and analytics at you. The player development department is. How do you kind of balance everything to like keep your game?
Yeah, I think in college, I mean, I played in the MAC, maybe not the strongest conference compared to, say, the Power 5 schools. So I think for me, I got away a lot with just throwing either fastballs at the letters. And I think being a guy that could throw 3 different pitches for strikes, I kind of got away with throwing pitches down the middle or like missing pitches, but still getting outs. But I think the biggest change going to pro ball for me was the strike zone shrinking a lot, because I think the umpires in the MAC were definitely giving me some calls that they do not give here. So I think that was a big play into it. But then also the Red Sox have a big emphasis on throwing your off speed for strikes and having them move a lot better. And that's obviously what we work on all the time. But I think for me, that was a big difference from how I was pitching in school. Like in school, I was throwing 60, 70% fastballs, sometimes 80% if it was really good on a day. But now I'm throwing it 30%, 40% of the time. So it's a big difference. And I think for me, especially how I was so flat at the beginning of the year, I think I was just kind of getting used to throwing so much off speed. Even though I can throw it for strikes, like being able to throw it early on and then mixing it within. Like I think I was struggling with that aspect, but I think I caught on to it as the season went on. But I think that was the biggest jump. I think throwing less fastballs, more off speed, and then being able to mix and match in there, not just throwing heaters at the letters and getting swings and misses. Because obviously in pro ball, that's not going to happen as often that does in college. So I think that was the biggest change.
Did you notice a change between when Craig Breslow took over as far as just how the pitching coaching went and what that, I guess, like how the training went for you guys? Because he's been, pretty talked up as being somebody that really knows a lot about pitching development, and that was a big reason for why they brought him. But I guess you weren't here for that long prior to that. You were probably only in the system for like 2 months before that.
Yeah.
Did you notice any sort of change?
I didn't notice any sort of change, really. I mean, we did get a new pitching director this past year. So I think a lot of the ideas and whatnot had been changed already. So I'm assuming they didn't want to change anything during the season, especially when Breslow joined. But I mean, talking with some of the guys that were already in their organization, I know that the philosophies and the training changed a lot from 22 to 23. So I think, I don't know. I didn't see any change when when we got Breslow. So, I mean, to answer your question, no. But I know for a lot of the guys, it changed a lot in the offseason beforehand with the new pitching director.
Have you noticed how gigantic everybody that was drafted this year is? Because you're you're not a small guy. You're 6'2".
Yeah.
But they're all like these like 6'5", 6'6", like just these really big Clydesdale of people. Is that something that stood out to you this year?
Yeah, I mean, even for our draft class, I feel like our draft class was pretty big with Blake and Trenner. I have a pretty funny story. I remember when I first started heading down to Fort Myers after we got drafted. I flew in, I got my bags, and I walked out to the car. And Trenner was the first one that got out of the car to like shake my hand just to meet me and like help my bags in. and he's this massive dude. I'm like staring at him, like, is everyone gonna be like this? Like, it was crazy because it's this 6'8" dude with a massive beard just shaking my hand. I'm like, oh god, this is how everyone's gonna be. But it's really not. It's not like that. But it was just that was my first experience, so I thought it was gonna be like that. But yeah, obviously you have Blake and Trenner in our class, but then everyone kind of evens out probably at like 6 foot to 6'3". But then yeah, this draft class you got multiple guys 6'4", 6'5", 6'6". So I've seen a lot of them are at the facility right now. So I've been around them and they're pretty big dudes. So it's different, especially because I'm 6'2", so I feel like I'm a pretty tall guy in a sense in like regular everyday life, but around the facility, I feel short, honestly. Like I don't feel all that big.
Speaking of Trenner, he sent me a selfie on Saturday. I just texted it to you, so that way you can at least see it and embrace the glory of it. But the guy's incredible.
But he loves like doing stuff with his beard. I mean, he grows his beard so fast that he does anything. I know during the season he had this thick handlebar mustache, which everyone loves because it's so funny. So it's so funny seeing that.
It's also like a guy named Trevor with a handlebar mustache. Like, what time period is he from?
Yeah, no, I know. I've never heard of a Trenner before I got here, so.
He also he captioned that picture. Think Fenway is ready for the mutton chops. So I think he's embracing it.
Yeah, that embodies Trenner. He loves it.
Oh
This
yeah,
is Trenner O'Donnell, who is another pitcher at Salem this season.
big Tex baby. Just another great guy in the 2023 draft class. But all right, Matt. We were kind of talking a little bit about you were talking about obviously a new pitching coordinator and all that, and something kind of opened my eyes a little bit when we were chatting with Max Carlson. Is a lot of the stuff that was introduced. Either this past year or with the new regime, a lot of the driveline guys. It's a lot of new stats for a lot of guys that weren't as familiar. And I know even Max being at North Carolina, which is an ACC school, like Power 5, like, they have a lot of good resources there. You still don't have a lot of the things that a professional team like the Red Sox have. So what kind of surprised you about maybe this past year with some of the numbers they were telling you to look at or stats or what they wanted you to focus on?
I think exactly what you're pointing out is what surprised me most. The stat that we, as a pitching staff, were looking for was X Rivera. Max probably told you about this, but it's like expected run value ERA. So it bases your K percentage, walk percentage, and barrel percentage and puts it into a number. And it's like your ERA with anything that you can control. So it's a good stat to kind of look at anything but defense, which in turn helps the pitcher sometimes. But I think that was very different. I've never looked at stats that way, especially when I was at Canisius. But from a stats standpoint, yeah, we looked at a bunch of different stats. But I think a lot of the new things that they brought in, like a lot of the philosophies saying, like, throw good stuff in the zone, working on your pitches, like the movement and whatnot. Like, I think a lot of that I've kind of known over the years. Like we worked on that at Canisius. I worked on that in summer ball. So it's stuff that I've been around. So it really wasn't surprising seeing them implement that into the program. But I think the stats, yeah, were very different, especially X Rivera. I think that was definitely a weird stat, but learning it throughout the course of spring training and whatnot, like I definitely got a good gist of what it was. And looking at it now, it's a very good stat, especially for a pitcher to kind of justify if you're doing well or not.
Yeah, I was curious because we talked to Will Turner yesterday, and he was kind of going through some of the stats that they have the hitters look at, and they factor in if you playing in Salem or playing in Greenville or wherever you're playing, obviously the park matters sometimes, or elevation matters, or whatever it is that you kind of can't see if you're just looking at ERA or batting average on a piece of paper. But that actually leads me to my next question here. You just spent all of this year in Salem. And for I want to know your opinion since you're, a kid from Canada. You probably had never been in the mountains in Virginia before in a little small town named Salem. So what was it like playing in Salem and even just like pitching in Salem?
Yeah. Salem's very, very small town. I mean, realistically, I was waking up. We had these nice apartments in Salem. Nothing to complain about there. Would wake up there, chill at the apartments, went to the field, went back to the apartments. Like that was pretty much our days. Other than we'd play golf sometimes, especially on off days. On Mondays, we'd play golf all the time. But I really didn't get out to like see the city. But I mean, our drive to the field was 15 minutes, and that's probably the whole city, anyways. So that was my viewing of the city. But behind the field, you have this really nice like view of just mountains in the distance, which is really nice. But then you have our fence, which is like 30, 40 feet high. So it's just like you can't see it. So it kind of gets blocked out. But with our bench on the third base side, you can see a big mountain in the distance. So it's nice to see that. But talking about the ballpark, like it's a massive ballpark, so it's definitely pitcher friendly. So that's a really nice aspect of it. Like you got these massive walls. Only way a guy hits a home run is if they actually get it. So that's why if you do give up a home run, you're like, damn, like he actually hit that well. No one gets a cheap home run in Salem. But Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, we'd get great crowds. Thursdays, you have drink specials. Friday, fireworks. Saturdays, it's the weekend. The other days, kind of not so many people, but the other days, like the stadium's pretty big and they can sit a decent amount of people. So, I mean, it was usually packed, which was nice, and we'd get decent crowds. So, I mean, I had no complaints about playing in Salem. I loved it. So, yeah.
Now, Brooks Brandon, one of your teammates there, is having he's lighting up the Arizona Fall League right now. What would be your scouting report on him, and what was as a hitter, and what was he like? I guess pitching to as a catcher.
Yeah, I saw he was doing well in the Fall League, so that's good for him. But he's a great dude. I mean, he's very, very energetic, very peppy guy. But throwing to him is great. I mean, I think he's a good receiver. I mean, obviously he's a really good hitter. He's got a lot of power, so it's just a fun guy to watch at the plate because you think he's gonna hit a nuke every time he goes up. But I mean, he's just a good teammate to be around. I mean, I like throwing to him. I think I threw to him probably 3-4 times, and I feel like every time he caught me, I did well. So I had no complaints there. And I mean, he's a good teammate all around. So I had no complaints playing with him.
All right, I'm gonna keep you on your toes and keep going random here. I got a couple Canada questions for you that I'm hoping you're ready for. One, I went to Canada for the first time in 2024, and
that is surprising to me that was your first time there.
Yeah, that was my first time this year. And so me and the wife went across the border. We had to see Niagara Falls, obviously, but we were not those tourists that just stopped in Niagara Falls and just said, we're going to stay in this little like touristy area.
Yeah.
We went to Niagara on the lake, the little town on the lake with all the wine. I need to know your thoughts on ice wine.
Ice wine.
Yes.
I don't see. I am not a wine drinker. I don't like wine, so I don't know anything about wine.
Wow. You can only get that wine in that area. Like
I didn't even know that. Like maybe now that I know that, maybe I have to. Maybe I have to try it, but
yeah, all right, you got to text the parents and ask them, "Hey, what do you guys think of ice wine?" I'm telling you, like I was sold on it so much. There's a ton of wineries in that little like Niagara on the Lake area. It's a beautiful area, by the way. And it's only available there. So I was just curious, since you're a local and I asked Nathan Landry about it. He even knew about it, and he's like I think he's over in Quebec. He was up in the Quebec.
He's Quebec. He's Quebec. He's like French.
Well, he knew about ice wine in Ontario, so
I do not know that stuff. No chance.
All right, that's fair. All right, second question. At it had me turning the wheels a little bit because we had Adam Bates on this week as well, a nice Australian prospect in the system. And I know there are a lot more Canadians in pro ball than there are Australians. But do you guys have like a tight knit group like the Australians have? Because I feel like Adam Bates was kind of telling us that like Liam Hendricks texted him, and it's like a tradition for like the Australians to like reach out to each other. And I know like Canada's a lot closer than Australia is to the States, but do you guys have any sort of bond just like being like Canadians in pro ball?
There definitely is a bond. I mean, there's not many of us, so all of us hear about each other because there's a couple different Canadian outlets that post stories about Canadians in pro ball. So all of us hear about each other like a decent amount of the time. So like say for instance, Matt Wilkinson, who was on the Guardians low A team to start the year, ended in high A, I believe. He had a great year, but when he faced us, I knew of him, but I've never talked to him in my life. And he's from British Columbia. He's like way west, but I just knew of him just from hearing all this stuff. So like, I know of players, but it's not like the Australian thing where they text each other. Like that doesn't happen. But I definitely think it's definitely close knit. Like I feel like I could text any guy in pro ball and we could have a conversation. I mean, I know a decent amount of them to the point where I could do that, but I mean, there's not many of us, so we hear about each other a lot. So I'd say there's a bond there.
Let's take this a step further. What about the other two Matt Duffys? Because there are two. I believe they're both infielders. There are two infielder Matt Duffys. One who I think he's still in baseball. I think he was. I know he came up with the Giants. I forget who he's with now. But have you spoken to any of the other Matt Duffys?
No, I haven't. I know the other Matt Duffy is in AAA. I don't know where the other one is, but
The missing Matt Duffy.
But I knew that there was two before I even when I was in whenever Matt Duffy was a rookie, I think it was like 20. I could be wrong, like 2013 maybe. I don't even know. I don't know.
Around then. I think you're in the correct area code. I forget. I don't know the year off my head.
I remember hearing of him, so I was like, damn, like it'd be cool to like kind of play in pro baseball and then like maybe meet him. Like you never know. Like we have the same name. Like that's pretty unique. But no, I haven't reached out. They haven't reached out. So I mean, I don't know.
There isn't like a Matt Duffy group, like a baseball group chat or something.
No, but actually, funny story. I was playing the show, and we get these cards, like our real 99 cards. It's like a 99 overall card that you put on your Diamond Dynasty team. And I was playing with my guy, and someone texted me thinking that I was Matt Duffy, like the guy that's in AAA. And he was texting me like, hey man, like go out there and like hit some bombs. And I didn't want to ruin the guy's day. So I was like, yeah, man, like I agree. I'm going to go out there and hit nukes and stuff like that. So it was pretty funny. So yeah.
You kind of led me to my next question here. Cause with the show thing, I didn't know if you were hanging around on there a lot, but what do you like to do in your free time? Whenever I know you mentioned golfing and you mentioned a little bit of video games. Is that where we could find you whenever you're not on the field?
Pretty much. Yeah. I try to get outside as much as I can, especially with this nice weather. I'm trying to go out and play pickleball with people. People don't want to play. I used to play pickleball all the time when I was in Buffalo, and I picked it up pretty well. So that was fun. But yeah, I golf a decent amount, but then I also play a decent amount of video games too, especially because we're at the house for a good majority of the day. And yeah, like we were talking about before, I did get Call of Duty, and it's like the first Call of Duty I've ever gotten in my life. So
wow.
The guys in my house got me into it, and I've been grinding a little bit the last week or so. So it's different, but I mean, yeah, that I really don't do all that much. I just try to get outside as much as I can, but we do so much at the field that I'm kind of drained when I get home. And then obviously the sun goes down. So it's like, well, whatever.
Are you a movies guy or a show guy?
Neither. I don't own any streaming platforms, but
for you.
Yeah, but I'll watch shows with people. Like our house, It's me, We Hunt, Dean, Mullins, and Connolly. And we started watching the show on Prime Video, and it's like streaming every Sunday. We caught up to like season 3, episode 5 in like a week. But we've been following that. But then other than that, I don't watch anything. I was watching Dancing with the Stars for a little bit, but I mean, I've kind of been out of the loop because I don't have Disney Plus account, so I can't watch it anymore.
You might be in like a very, very, very small minority in the United States that does not have any streaming services. That
Oh,
is
I know.
wild.
People are like astounded when I say that, but it's like I don't watch stuff on my own, so like I don't need that.
I mean, it's interesting because I don't have it. If it wasn't for my wife, I don't think I'd have anything. I do have Fubo though because I like watching games. So it's like, okay, I've got to get something. I don't really like the MLB app that much. I'd rather just like get Nested and get like the minor league stuff that I get to watch. But that's
Yeah.
it. No, that's it. That's it. I mean, I kind of miss cable, honestly. I kind of miss just like you turn on the TV, what's on is on, and you don't have to think too much about it.
Yeah, I mean that's my dad at home. He watches a lot of TV, but he's just cable. He just watches whatever on the TV. So like because of that, we don't have anything. And my mom's at work a decent amount and she doesn't really like watching shows, so there's no point in our family having any sort of streaming service. So
What's your
whatever.
favorite sport outside of baseball?
See, I would say golf because I play it the most, but I loved volleyball in high school. I played for 4 years, so
Oh, wow.
I love volleyball. I'll play it. I wish I could play it more. I haven't played in maybe 2 years, but yeah, I'd say volleyball.
Wow, that's a great answer. Actually, it's you don't really hear that too often.
Yeah.
Can I throw it back real quick? You said something about the guys you're living with.
Yeah.
I'm curious how you get anything done in a house like those. The high character guys you're living with. All you had to say was Noah Dean,
Yeah.
Blake Wehunt, Connolly, and Hayden Mullins. That's an incredible like group of guys.
Yeah.
I don't know how you guys like get anything accomplished like once you go home.
I think if you were to sit in our house and hear us playing COD, you would be laughing over and over again. Like it is so funny. Connolly especially just screams at the TV. It's hilarious, but yeah, I mean, when we get home from the field, a lot of us kind of do our own thing, but we do play COD together, so like that's kind of what we're doing. But a lot of us just chill around. Like I said, we were watching that show. We play cards sometimes too, so it's nothing too hectic. But yeah, it's cool being with five guys in a house. I mean, you got endless things to do, so it's fun.
All right, Ed, get the tracker out. I'm asking the question, the big question here.
Okay, can I ask one question real quick first? Because I only have one more, and I don't want to steal the thunder of the final question. Did you grow up a Blue Jays fan?
No.
What was your team growing up then, and who was your favorite player?
Okay. I've never really had a favorite team. Like I don't have a favorite team for any sport. I just I watch and I enjoy sports. I've never really followed a team closely, but I'd say my favorite team growing up was the Phillies because when I first got into baseball, it was around 2008 when I was 7 years old,
yeah.
and the Phillies won the championship. So I was like, damn, that's my favorite team. And then
they had Canadian legend Matt Stairs on that team too.
Yeah, no, I know. So because of that, my family and I went to the Philly spring training for maybe 4 years after that. Like every March break, we used to go. So that kind of built my connection with the team, I guess you could say. But my favorite player was Ryan Howard because I mean, everyone loves home runs. So like, especially at 8 years old, I'm like, damn, like this guy hits the ball far. Like that's my favorite player.
Dude,
but then once I got to 11, 12, I think Howard was kind of fizzling out a bit. Like he was on a bit of a decline to the end of his career. And I saw Andrew McCutchen play for the first time in a spring training game. And like he was the best player I've ever seen with my own eyes, and that's when he was like the MVP. I think he won in 2012.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, he was electric at his peak.
Yeah.
He was
So
absolutely electric.
since then, he's been my favorite player. I just think he plays the game the right way. He plays the game so fast, and especially when he was with Pittsburgh the first time, like he was unreal to watch. Like when we watched him in spring training, it was just like, wow, like this guy's different. So I'd say him and Ryan Howard were my favorite players growing up, and then obviously the Phillies. But that kind of fizzled out once they became a little bit not great in the late 2010s.
I will say Ryan Howard, St. Louis legend. If he would have, I think every Cardinal fan will admit to you in around that time frame, like the 2005 through the 2012 range, that when Pujols left, there was actual signs like around on yards in St. Louis. I grew up there, that were like, please trade for Ryan Howard, like bring him home. And it's like, what, the Phillies were never going to do that, but
yeah, no chance.
They love that guy there. All right, I got 2 food questions in and on. I'm gonna start with my new one right now. All right, Matt, you got 3 of your fingers, and they can dispense sauces, and those are the only 3 sauces you get for the rest of your life. You can't get anything else. What are you gonna pick?
Damn. 3 sauces. Wow. I think. Ooh. All right. First has to be chocolate sauce because I have such a sweet tooth that I can't not have sweet stuff. So chocolate sauce would be my first. A more practical one, I love ketchup, so ketchup would be my second. And I'll go for a little bit of a unique one. The third one, I love fish, so tartar sauce would be my third.
Oh, interesting.
Wow.
I love fish, and I love tartar sauce with fish. So, I mean, you can't go wrong with tartar sauce.
Now, I'm only asking you this because you're Canadian, but have you ever had St. Hubert before? Like St. Hubert chicken? Because that St. Hubert sauce is incredible.
I was gonna say I've never heard of it, so
it's like a Montreal thing. So maybe it hasn't made it all the way out there. But
so.
Yeah, my dad went to McGill, so we used to go up there a lot when I was a kid. I've got some family up around there, and that was all he would talk about. The drives up would be just like, we're gonna get some St. Hubert when we get up here.
Interesting. Yeah, I've never heard of it, so maybe I need to try ice wine and
St. Hubert.
Yeah.
Well, the list might expand right here based on how you answer this. I did a thing last year where I asked a lot of guys this question, and I kind of continued this year because Ed's going to keep a tracker on it, and I have to update whenever we get guys we had on last year. But it's in regards to a nice it's a fast food fried chicken place. I don't know if you go to many that often, but if you had every single one out there that has a drive-through and they were all right in front of you, which one are you going to choose?
Are you talking any chicken fast food place or just any fast food?
Fast food fried chicken chain. So it's got to be like, the big boys.
Okay. See, I feel like the popular answer would be like Chick-fil-A, but we get it so often during the year that I feel I'm just so tired of it. So I can't even think about eating Chick-fil-A. See that I'll go with Popeyes, but I think a sleeper on the list, it's not even a chicken place, is Wendy's. I think their chicken fingers and their chicken nuggets are unreal, but it's not a chicken place, so I won't say it.
I would say it is a chicken place. It is on the menu, therefore it is a chicken place.
Yeah, I probably should have allowed it because I think somebody gave us McDonald's last year.
I'm putting Wendy's down for this answer. Yeah, we're much more enthusiastic about Wendy's.
Put Wendy's down for me, but if you're going straight chicken place, I'll say Popeyes. I love Popeyes.
Okay. Yeah, we're going to allow Wendy's because I think somebody gave us McDonald's, like McChicken, as their like go-to chicken sandwich. I was like, what? Like, I mean, it's good.
Yeah, I love Wendy's chicken. It's so good. So that would be my choice.
All right. Well, it wasn't Zaxby's, but maybe next time.
I've never had Zaxby's, so I don't know.
I haven't either. I've been hearing this guy talk about Zaxby's for basically the last 2 years now, though, so I have to try it at some point.
Matt, you need to go in the living room and find Mr. Wee Hunt and be like, hey, man, I've never been to Zaxby's before. Can we go? And he's going to be like, hell yes. So those Georgia boys will love Zaxby's. All right. So,
I bet.
all right, Matt. Well, you've given us a ton of time. We appreciate all the time you had with us. Looking forward to seeing you spring training and hopefully on to Greenville in 2025. But thank you so much for hopping on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I had a good time.